Hey there, fellow vegetable nerds. Thank you so much for hanging out with me once again in my kitchen. Spring is springing all over the place. It is my favorite time of year, and I've got some fun veggies to show you from local milk run. So let's start meat and veg.
Hey, turn up the caramello and chisel on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gina Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I find it hard to concentrate.
So today's delivery is another one from Milk Run. I have showed off some of my goodies from them before. In case you haven't seen one of those videos yet, just so you know, Milk Run is a service that will allow you to either get sort of like a CSA box where they choose some fresh veggies for, locally grown in your area to bring to you on a regular schedule, or you can do like I do. I just, kind of troll their website from time to time, and when they have enough things that I want, I just go ahead and do a one-time only purchase, and then they bring it right to my door, which is super rad, especially right now with everything that's going on. I would desperately love to be at the farmer's market, but it's going to be a little while before I can do that. Not too long, I hope. Both of my in-laws are now fully vaccinated. Brian and I have each had our first ones. You can still see I've got like a little dot right there, and we're both scheduled for our second ones. The second vaccination doesn't mean that suddenly you don't have to take precautions, but it does mean that maybe I can ease up just a little bit. And maybe if I'm taking full precautions and I'm staying away from people and I'm wearing my mask, maybe I can go to the farmer's market again. But in lieu of that, I am exceptionally lucky to live where I live and to have access to the things that I have access to. Oregon is a state where every wonderful thing grows. A few years ago, I don't know if anybody remembers, there was that thing about the 100-mile diet where, people only eat what can be grown, or sourced within 100 miles. And I remember reading that and just thinking, man, I would have it made. We have everything here. And I luckily live in the Portland metro area, close enough in that I can get delivery. So I understand it's not available everywhere, but if you're interested in Milk Run specifically, they are branching out. So now not only do they have a Portland delivery, but they also have Seattle, I think Vancouver now maybe, and Austin. Double check that. I'm not an employee. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. So I know they're branching out a little, and if they don't have that in your area, maybe something else is available. It's always worth looking into what's in your area, because there might be more than you think. Today's delivery, I'm really happy about. It's not big, so it's not like a ton of stuff. And I'm still waiting. I feel like last year at this time they had so many more produce selections, especially of certain things. When early spring, there are certain things that I always dream of, and there's a lot of greens and a lot of oniony goodness. God, if somebody had ramps, I'd be so happy, but I haven't seen them anywhere. But I was hoping for more things like forage greens, things like sorrel and dandelion and stuff like that. And those, I'm still waiting for those to come out. I haven't seen Milk Run have them, or at least it wasn't there when I looked. They're gonna have different things from time to time as people buy stuff. That's just kind of how it works. But I did see enough things there that I was like, there's a few things I'm really excited about. So I made my little order. A couple of these we have already talked about. Some, one or two of these are new, including one really exciting thing that I'm just wait, we'll get there. And a couple things I have updates for you on. So things that we looked at, but I hadn't tried yet, and now I have, and I can tell you what I think. First of all, this is my beautiful, beautiful purple sprouting broccoli. I should mention, before I go any further, these are not going to be at their most beautiful, and that's my fault. That's not Milk Run's fault. That's absolutely my fault. I forgot they were coming, and I slept until like 2, something like that. And when I woke up, I had a text from hours earlier saying, hey, your stuff's been delivered. Oops. So it had been sitting on my doorstep. And everything's, well, almost everything's fine. I did have one loss. I had some microgreens, and they're not so hardy. Sitting in the heat outside my door, they didn't make it, unfortunately. Again, that's my fault. Also, I was not prepared to do a video right away like I thought I would be, so these have been in my fridge since yesterday. So again, when they first came out of the box, they were so much nicer. So just please don't let that reflect on Milk Run. That's not their fault. These are still highly beautiful. Look how deep and purple those are. Now, the difference between regular broccoli, the difference between that and purple sprouting broccoli, part of that is obvious, is purple. Ta-da, ta-da. So you see the stems are so much thinner. And so You can eat broccoli stems, but there's a lot of woody parts to that, and you have to trim those down. You don't have to throw them away. Those are probably good for things. I'm sure there's things that you can do with that, but you're not gonna eat the outside woody bits just as is. These guys here, you don't have to trim pretty much anything. You might, like right at the bottom, there might be a little bit of woodiness. You might want to cut that off, but other than that, the whole thing's edible. The leaves are edible, the stems are edible, and it's sprouting broccoli because instead of making one great big head of flowers, or a couple of them, or a big cluster of them, you just get a bunch of these little bitty ones. And these cook so easily and so well. What I like to do with these is put them in my big cast iron pan and either saute them with, you know, a little bit of olive oil and some garlic, or I can start them on the stove like that and then put them in the oven and finish them and either have them just like that or throw in some other vegetables. Either way, these are one of my favorite flavors of spring. I absolutely adore purple sprouting broccoli, and I'm so excited because it's just beautiful. I mean, when you go walk into the farmer's market and you can see a big pile of these, it's just like, oh. I get very excited about spring. Side note, I'm sorry, I'm going to digress a lot. I don't understand why New Year's is the middle of winter when there is shit all going on. I know that there is a historical reason for that. I probably have looked it up once before and already forgotten, but it makes no sense to me. Spring should be the beginning of a new year. Spring is rebirth, and spring is, you know, coming out of darkness, you know, buds coming out of the ground and everything coming back to life, and that feels like a new beginning. The middle of winter doesn't feel like a new beginning of anything. It feels very arbitrary. So I would just like to say if somebody starts a petition about that, I will sign it. For a lot of people, the smell of spring is flowers, and a little bit it is for me, but my smell of spring is these fresh green, sort of oniony, allium-y kind of things. Like, for instance, green garlic. So what is the difference between green garlic and regular garlic? Almost nothing. If you leave these in the ground long enough, these little teeny tiny buds down here will become full-sized garlic bulbs. From what I understand, when farmers are planting garlic, you know, they're gonna let it all grow, but at a certain point they have to thin it out. So they'll pull them when they're at this stage, and they're totally edible and delicious and wonderful. And, you know, it's like getting 2 crops out of one, you know? So some will go on to be bulb garlic that you dry out and eat later, or you can eat those green as well, which is, oh, so good. That's a little bit later in the season. Or you can just eat them like this. And although they look like scallions, they are not the same thing. They're a little bit more on, well, they're garlic. So they're gonna taste more garlic than oniony. But you can use them for the same things. You can use them for all kinds of things. You can chop them up and sort of eat them as a vegetable if you want to. You can put them in salads, you can put them in stir fries, you can put them in just about anything. I had them in eggs this morning. They made the best eggs. Springtime is the best time for making scrambled eggs because you've got all of these lovely, wonderful things that you can throw in there. You can throw your pea shoots in there. I'm pretty sure I did a video on that where I put some pea shoots in there. Lately, I've been doing stuff where I saute shiitake mushrooms and asparagus. Oh, it's asparagus season. And green garlic and anything else I might have like that. I had those chives from Wheat. You might remember that I got some of those. Anything you've got like that, you just saute all that up, throw your eggs in, toss in some cheese, whatever you feel like having, and it's, oh, so good, so good, so good. These are really good. I put these in fajitas. Like, you can do anything with them, but oh, the smell is so good. Not only do I just love the smell of garlic, but oh, it's that green smell. It just, I could just do that all day. I don't know why you would want to watch that. You shouldn't want to watch that, so I should stop. I'm gonna start getting myself a very particular, small but devoted audience doing weird stuff like that, so. These definitely look like they had a day. They're not as fresh looking as when I first got them. I'm gonna eat them though. I'm gonna absolutely eat them. They're supposed to be arugula. These are some pretty big leaves. Oh yeah, it's arugula. Nothing else tastes like arugula. Oh, that's nice. I think maybe I'm just so used to seeing like baby arugula, or like full size, like Big Daddy arugula is, looks a little bit foreign, but no, nothing else tastes like arugula. Springtime is for greens. All the greens, all of them, in my face. These are delicious. There's some wilted bits. I'm gonna just kind of get rid of those. The rest of it's gonna be fine. It's no big deal. I might have a couple fewer days to eat them than I would have had I gotten these in the fridge right away. There's still a lot there that's gonna be good. So what do I do with arugula? Apart from just eating it and making noises. A couple of things that I do. Number one, if you make a panini, you toss some arugula on there. Trust me. Trust me, it's so good. I talked about this last time. Yeah, I made a panini with like some salami and cheese and stuff, and that delicious like pepper and garlic stuff that I got from Supermarket Italy, and the arugula was perfect on there. It's so good on a panini. It's good on a like grilled cheese or something like that. I once saw, the first time I'd ever seen this, I was in Las Vegas, and I was at one of those places where like you tell them what you want on your pizza and then they make it for you. And I saw like the two hippest, coolest ladies I'd ever seen. Like they were maybe in their early 20s or something, but they were just like so stylish. And they were splitting a white pizza. And I remember seeing them, like they had gotten like an arugula salad on the side, and they just plopped it on top of the white pizza, and then they split it. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like the fancy ladies. Like I want that for me. And now anytime I go anywhere where that's an option to have them put arugula on my pizza after it's done, I always take that, and it's so good. It just brings this brightness to it, and it cuts some of that fattiness. I love the fattiness of pizza, but that lovely peppery green freshness sort of balances it in this really beautiful way. So thank you, fancy ladies of Las Vegas. So again, there were some microgreens, and the microgreens are gone. So there's fewer things than there were. I did get another Newtown Pippin apple that's over there. So they had these. Sir, excuse me. So you might remember that a while ago, I got some of these potatoes that are supposed to be low glycemic and safer for people with diabetes or other, blood sugar issues to eat. These are called Huckleberry Gold potatoes. They are non-GMO. They weren't made in a lab or anything, so don't worry. I know that's a whole other conversation, so just if that concerns you, just so you know. But these are just this really cool potato that turns out to be A, super delicious, B, low glycemic or lower glycemic, so a little bit safer for diabetics. But also, since I got to try them out, they have some other properties that I wasn't aware of. Number one, I have a thing with potatoes. There are certain items that don't want to live in my apartment happily, or don't want to just stay in their normal state and they want to start growing. Potatoes are one of them. If I bring home a bag of potatoes, 2 days later, they've got giant sprouts on them. I don't know what it is about my apartment that makes them want to do that, but they sure do want to do that. Not these guys. So I had these in a bag, and as so often happens with things in bags that sit on my counter, I forgot it existed. I just, it became part of the scenery, and I totally just forgot it was even a thing. And like weeks and weeks went by, and then I opened the bag, and they were pristine and perfect. And so I ended up cooking these with some celeriac. I made it like a celeriac potato mash. Oh God, they're really good. They're really, really, really good. They've got this beautiful huckleberry color on the outside, which is why they're called Huckleberry Gold. The other half of that is because it's nice and gold. It's like whitish yellow on the inside. And they taste like they've already been buttered. I mean, this is nature's perfect potato. Another thing I found out about it, they're similar-ish to, supposedly most similar to a Yukon Gold potato. I would have thought of this as a potato that is better for boiling, mashing, maybe roasting, something like that. But I found out these are really good baked as well. I have not had a baked potato in the longest time, and I have a very, very particular way of eating baked potatoes, especially in the spring. Now is the time for that. And I've been thinking to myself, I really want to show you what I do with baked potatoes, but a russet potato, that's really high glycemic. That's not, a good idea for me. And I was like, well, should I just go ahead and do it and be like, well, once in a while it's not gonna kill me. But I really didn't want to if I didn't have to. Now I don't have to. Ta-da! So I can just have my Huckleberry Golds and bake those, and I can show you what I do. So I'm gonna have to gather some ingredients for that, but keep an eye out for that episode coming up. So they don't have them regularly. That's the important thing to know. You know, when you deal with something like Milk Run or something like that, as opposed to a grocery store, it's dependent on what is in season. It's depending on what's available from local farms. So you can't just go on there and expect a thing to be there. You gotta just go on there and see what's there, which is kind of fun. So, you know, it would be less fun if it's like, oh, I need toothpaste. Do they have it this week? You know, there's a reason why grocery stores don't work that way. But for something like this, it's wonderful, you know, and it just lets you know what's going on outside your apartment, like what's in season, what's growing, who's got what, you know, and it's there's something wonderful about logging on just to see, you know, what's there and seeing something that's never been there before. You know, there's always a surprise waiting for you. So I know nobody else gets as excited about this as I do, and that's you know, fine. The whole point of saying that, which I almost forgot, is that I bought a whole bunch. So, because they don't have them very often, I bought lots and lots and lots of them. I got like 6 pounds. I mean, that's not that many, but I'm one person, so. Excuse me, sir. Jeez. Masher. These guys here look like nothing from the outside. I understand. I totally understand. And they look a little ambiguous. If I just saw these in a pile, I would say, well, those could be beets, but those could also be scarlet turnips. Those could be a couple of different things. But they're beets, but they're a special kind of beet. And this gives me an excuse to bring out something that I bought for myself not too long ago that I haven't had an excuse to use on camera yet, and now I do. Somebody, for some reason, let me have one of these. Such a bad idea. But it's so cool. Look at this thing. It's a vegetable cleaver. I mean, technically it's a cleaver. You could cut whatever you want to with it. Hopefully it's only vegetables and not my hands off. So, we'll see. So, the reason that I got that out is because I want to show you what's inside here, because this is a very particular type of beet. Before we get to what's different about it, let's talk about the name. I was looking up some facts about it, and I realized I have been calling it the wrong thing for a really long time. And I almost was gonna come on here and tell you the wrong name and look like a silly person. So I always thought it was spelled Chiogga, and I'm like, well, that should be pronounced chaga? Maybe choga? And then when I was looking it up, it's like, oh, did you mean chaga but with another I towards the end? And I was like, do I mean that? That looks like maybe that's pronounced a different way. How do you say, oh, whoops. And so I went and I looked up the pronunciation, and guess what? It's nothing like that. So it's spelled Chioggia, and it is pronounced Chioggia. That is not even close. To the people of Chioggia, Italy, which this was named after because that's where it comes from, I apologize. I have been saying the name of your town and your delicious beet incorrectly for a really long time. But I know better now, and when you know better, you do better. So the cool thing about the inside of these is they have the coolest pattern. Okay, every beet, if you were to chop it this way, like if you're chopping the root off, has concentric circles. They're not that noticeable if you have a red beet, and they're not that noticeable, a little bit more noticeable maybe if you have a golden beet, because it's all one color. And so you just see these concentric sort of markings. These guys here are a little different. If you were to chop it pole to pole, you would get kind of almost a tie-dye effect. But when you chop it around the middle, around the equator, I hope this is a good one. I really hope this is a good one. Check that out. Some of them are really pronounced, like perfect, like a target symbol, kind of like that. So you get these beautiful sort of, there's a reason they also call it like a candy cane or a candy stripe beet. Partially because it looks like a candy cane or something like that, but also because they're very sweet. So like that's very, that's a fun coincidence, because it would be terrible if they looked sweet and lovely and fun and just tasted like poop. But they don't, they're lovely. They're really, really good. These are supposedly, yeah, so you can kind of see like that. How cool is that? And when you have these sliced really, really thin, like these just add the coolest sort of bit of color. When you put something like this on a sandwich or on a plate, if you put that in your salad or something like that, it just gives it such a beautiful, vibrant color. It just changes everything. Come on, take a taste. Oh, they're not kidding. That is sweeter. It still isn't the way I would eat a beet. I wouldn't just sit and be like, oh, beets, you know? The thing about beets is that they have a nice sort of balance of earthiness and sweet, but the sweet sort of has to be, it's like if you've ever met somebody who's a little grumpy, but you know they're kind of a softie on the inside, and you just gotta tickle them a little bit, and that sort of soft side comes out. Beets are like that. That sweetness is right there under the surface, and it takes very little just to bring that to the surface. Supposedly, Hyokgia beets are a little bit sweeter than regular beets and a little bit less earthy. And earthy is code for tastes like dirt. There's still a little bit of that, but definitely a little bit sweeter. Beets just need something like a sweet sort of a vinegar or something with some sugars in it. Like they pair really well with like fruit vinegars, or if you have beet juice and you combine it with some kind of fruit juice, like you get all that sweetness coming out and it becomes the star of the show instead of that earthiness. With this, because it is so nice looking, I think what I'm gonna do is slice it really, really thin, and then I'm gonna pickle it so that I can not only bring out that sweetness, but also so that I can preserve that color. Because once you cook this, you can roast these and they would be, again, that would also bring out some of the sweetness with the caramelization, but you're gonna lose that color. It's gonna fade a little bit. I found a really beautiful recipe for making pickled Hyokgia beets. I will remember that for the rest of my life. I keep wanting to say chaga. I apologize for that to the town in Italy whose name I am mangling and have mangled for years, but I will get that right. But I found a wonderful looking recipe, and it was like raspberry and rosé pickled Hyokgia beets. It calls for cooking them first, and so it had sort of, some of that color had faded. And what I really want is a big jar of this, showing off all those beautiful colors. So I'm gonna do that. I'm really excited about this. Some of it I'm just gonna put on a salad. You know, I don't know. We'll see what we do with it. There was actually supposed to be one more thing. There were supposed to be some chives in there, and there weren't. So I'm gonna have to email them. They're really good about that. If there's ever a mistake made, they're on it really fast and they credit me back, and things happen. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm gonna complain that somebody missed my chives in my delivery. Come on. You know, I'm alive and well and I'm indoors and I've got lights and heat on and stuff, and that's the least of my worries. So, you know, no big. Anyway, thank you so much. That is, like I said, there wasn't that much. You know, it's just a small little delivery. I do have some fun stuff I'm gonna be making very soon. I've got some plans for some recipes I'm gonna make for you, so keep an eye out for that. Please remember to like and subscribe. I make a video every Thursday. Sometimes I might put out a bonus video, but at least every Thursday. If when you subscribe, you hit the little bell, it will notify you when I have a new video so that you don't have to remember to come back and look. That's totally up to you. I would appreciate it, but don't feel pressured. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Bye.
Hey, turn up the caramello and shizzle on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gino Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I find a